the frozen tundra is where they're going to kick Frank Lampard after this, right? It's like, so I only flicked through Sky had the red button where they show you all the chances, and it definitely seemed like it was a seesaw roller coaster game in terms of the chances. But Richarlison was amazing. He's getting a good move. He's realised 5 weeks of good football right now is going to catapult me to Manchester United, or couldn't go to Liverpool. Could he go to Liverpool? Wouldn't he be perfect in that team as just an extra one? So instead of having, they can get rid of one of those, maybe Roberto Firmino, your time is up. We're going to cash in on you.
Possibly. He's definitely good enough to play mid-table Premier League football at least. Obviously, Nathan's thing over the last couple of years has been best player outside the top four. I think he's come back to the pack a good bit over the last season and a half. Still an excellent player. But what's interesting is that our players now fighting to get that move away from Everton in the summer, or fighting to not get a deduction in their wages. Probably a bit of both.
Oh, yeah.
But it did seem when they went 1-0 down last night, it was like, right.
You might even get more money if you get a move.
Well, possibly. And you'll easily get a move if you go down. But when they went 1-0 down last night, it kind of felt as if they'd all came to that realisation that they were all fighting for a good pay packet next year. And they do end up taking the lead, and it's like, okay, everything's fine. But it turns out they're in a really bad place, confidence-wise, and that's what happens when you make mistakes.
They had a lot of chances. He picked a strange team. There was a few kids in the team, and no shame with Coleman. Doesn't use all his subs. I don't know. Frank Lampard looks like he's floundering a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit...
So Burnley beat Manchester United beat Everton 3-2 yesterday, in case you're all wondering what we're talking about. And it was an 85th minute winner.
Yeah.
And there was a 92nd minute chance for Everton to equalise, which just agonisingly goes wide.
A little part of joy has always been part of Frank Lampard and the way he speaks. Everybody takes the piss out of it. It's the no, but seriously elements to his post-match interviews. That's now gone. It's now just no,
all
but seriously.
Serious, all the time.
It's all seriously. And there was not even a single sort of haha at all in his post-match interview with Sky Sports yesterday. Beforehand, he was saying on Tuesday, I'm really excited. I love being involved in the competitive games. I'm calm and I'm excited, was his press conference on Tuesday. Last night, it was not that. It was blaming the individual mistakes. A little bit of an allusion to the regime before him. Some of the errors that were popping up before he got there were still there. But at the same time, he did look like somebody who wasn't overly pressurised by the scenario. He was just down on himself last night. And he said, if the players don't realise they're in a battle, they realise it now.
I mean, that's do you remember his time at Chelsea? It was always individual errors. It was never a systemic issue. It was never anything that they'd worked on the training ground. It was never, it's my fault. It was always, that's individual errors are costing us. And then Tuchel came in and there were no more individual errors.
You can do both, as Tuchel pointed out last night. You can pretty much take responsibility yourself and eviscerate your players, which is what Tuchel did in his press conference yesterday. But it's Everton's fixtures list as much as the performance last night, which gives people massive cause for concern. It's Manchester United, then Leicester, then Liverpool, then Chelsea, then Leicester again, and then they play Watford, Brentford, Palace before Arsenal on the final day of the season. So it's an extremely difficult fixtures run. The only thing you could say is that arguably their best performance under Lampard so far was in the game against Manchester City, which they probably should have drawn if there wasn't a ridiculous penalty shout given to Manchester City.
Yeah, they're not completely gone, and it's not like they folded completely. They played some okay football in patches. They created chances, and it'll be very interesting to see if they can dig it out from here. I mean, it would be a great story if Everton were to go down, given everything that's happened at the club over the last period of time. It's almost like you can't just willy-nilly have an approach to something and think it's all going to be fine. The amount of money that they spent for them to go down would be ridiculous, and for Burnley to even be capable of pulling it out at this stage is remarkable.
It would be. I'm also, it's not going to happen, but I'm also kind of looking at Watford this morning. Looking at did you see the little slide rule pass by Roy Hodgson on the training ground over the last couple of days? Just silky footballer, still got it. And you're looking at that. You're looking at their fixtures list. They've got Leeds and Brentford next up. They also have to play Burnley and Everton. Watford still have the keys in their hand. Now they do have to play Manchester City, and they have to play Chelsea in the last day of the season. So it's a very mixed fixture list for them. But in that part of the table, the winnable fixtures are against teams around them. So it is not ridiculous to think that they could also have a say in this. But I do think Burnley and Sean Dyche is the man you're backing over Frank Lampard and Hodgson every day of the week. And I think we've done this a couple of times in the show where we've just looked at the managers in that section of the table, and when Everton appointed Frank Lampard, you always thought that could be the thing that does suck them into that relegation battle and eventually get them relegated, just that the standard of guy that they have standing on the sideline.
If he brings them down, does he get to try and bring them up, or
No.
is that the door?
I'd say it's a door, isn't it? I'm not sure. Like, we'll be chatting to Phil about this later on. I was chatting to him in the office, and I think he's of the opinion that he wouldn't be surprised if Frank Lampard didn't see the season out. That if it's crisis mode, they push the Duncan Ferguson button again.
No, you can't push Duncan Ferguson now. no, you need somebody else. You'd need a specialist.
Like, the thing is, the specialist who would avoid relegation feels like the same sort of specialist who would navigate a tricky championship next season.
Yeah, so
and that guy's not Frank Lampard in either of those situations, it feels.
It's very difficult to know how good a manager Frank Lampard is, because he doesn't look very good at the moment at all.
Yes,
we
are guessing, of course.
There is no evidence apart from that one period where the team did qualify for the Champions League, and would need to go back. I would need to go back and see how the other teams collapsed around him for them to get in at that stage. But like, if you sack him now, which it's strong possibility that happens, right? Like, if you would have to think about it if you were involved in the club, who could you bring in? You're not bringing Big Sam in,
like that. But that's what you're talking about. It's that sort of
realm. I mean, if you are bringing Big Sam in, you're explicitly stating at the final whistle on the final game of the season, you get out the door. There will be a wheelbarrow of cash in your car, and you never come back. We will never look at each other in the morning. We will delete each other's phone numbers. It's fine. We will enjoy our time together, but then when the time is over, there will be no communication.
How many games did he get at Everton last time? I'm just looking at it up here. 26 games, a 38% winning record. Could a 38% winning record be good enough for him to get Everton out of the situation? I'm not so sure, but it feels as every person that's Everton are linked to it. It's just kind of this sense of horror, like whether it's Rafa, who eventually did get appointed, or potentially Big Sam, because you know that if Lampard is close to the exit door, he will be in the frame to be appointed. Like, I mean, Everton fans are so paranoid about would-be managers that they sacked a guy that they never even appointed a few months ago when Vitor Pereira's name was on graffiti outside Goodison Park. Pereira out. Was Lampard in on that piece of graffiti?
I think so, yeah. Well, they got their wish. Always listen to the fans, because they know best, eh?
Yeah, Pereira out, Lampard in was actually the piece of graffiti.
What do the Everton fans think? What do they think is going to happen, and what do they want to happen? Do you have to give Frank Lampard a few more weeks, like? Do you? Or do you absolutely not have to give him a few more weeks? Would Seamus Coleman be a better manager for Everton for the rest of the season than Frank Lampard?
The question, well, I mean, what's the net win here? I think it was John Joe Kenny was in it right back yesterday. Didn't necessarily stop them from falling to and another embarrassing defeat. Coleman couldn't get scapegoated last night, which is definitely the positive from an Irish perspective. Would he, as manager, be better than John Joe Kenny as right back? I would say some Everton fans would say yes. I think that they've been bashing Coleman for the last little while.
I wonder who he'd pick at right back. Would he pick himself, or would he pick John Joe Kenny?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm not sure he'd probably pick Kenny, to be honest. Go. You can't do player manager at this stage.
You can. Why not? Maybe twice.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is on the table right now for Everton. Like, it's who even is who's in the Big Sam category these days? Like, it feels like we've moved beyond that.
Well, Roy Hodgson, someone's already pressed the panic button for that. Would Nuno save them?
Ooh, I'm not sure about that. Like, it does feel as if we've moved towards kind of like quite hipster appointments in and around that area. Like, not that Leeds would ever have gone for a Big Sam or anything like that, but he wasn't in the conversation for that job when it came up. The last time a relegation threatened team had a vacancy.
His moment has passed. But like, I mean, could you break him out, or could you break Harry Redknapp out?
Harry,
like, what? So what's worse here?
Yeah, like, it would be funny if Lampard got sacked and his uncle got brought in, and that was it. Sorry, mate. We're keeping it in the family, but you're just the wrong guy.
Better than money goes to one of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
And it's a 2.5-year deal as well that Lampard was on, so it's a fair.
I presume that there is a break clause where you take the team down. It's, again, we never speak of this again.
Like, I wonder, did they even consider the relegation consequences if they appointed Frank Lampard? Because, like, it felt like, again, just go back to the Leeds example. Like, I'm not sure if this is the truth, but it does feel that if Jesse Marsh had taken Leeds down and they had gone to Championship next season, that would have been a manager that they would have had a plan around. And I accepted there's like a harshness around Lampard, an extra harshness because of the player that he was, and maybe the personality that he is a little bit, that he is uber confident, but that does lead to maybe just kind of cynicism around him.
He had an amazing life and decided to get back into football as a manager because there's a competitive urge he has to scratch. And I don't know, people sometimes should just ignore go and play a lot more golf, take up darts, do something. It shouldn't be that hard to take up. But anyway, he could have just sat in a TV studio and had the crack. He could have sold monkey NFTs. Whatever.
Like his buddy John Terry. Well, John Terry did a smart thing, going in behind the scenes. You can scratch that itch. Do you have to be the front man with your hands in the pocket to fight that itch, or can he be sitting down in the dugout running out whenever your team scores a big goal? Do you have to be the number one?
You don't, because life has dealt you a genetic lottery ticket that has come up with 6 numbers, and you are minted for life. It's almost impossible for you to go broke because you're that rich. Now, a lot of the footballers did their best to go broke with bad investments and illegal tax things around movies. But look, I don't think Lampard was one of those. He by all accounts, he was smart from the get-go. Why does he need this? Why does he need to now be reviled? Why did he need to break the relationship that he had with the Chelsea fans?
I think it's pretty obvious, isn't it? It's what you just said. It's that competitive itch. It's that the feeling of actually being part of something that is a winning thing. And that doesn't necessarily, not getting relegated now for Everton.
This is Michael Jordan bullshit, right?
How do you mean, like the baseball stuff?
Well, no, just I have to be the most competitive at everything I ever do. By all accounts, Michael Jordan's a bad gambler, but he feels the need to win.
Yeah. I guess there's definitely a part of that comes with the ex-player going into management, but there's no question that all the managers have played football at some level, bar a few notable exceptions. It's not necessarily granted that just because you've been an excellent footballer you will be a bad manager. I accept that the correlation is actually probably the opposite in a lot of cases, but he obviously just wanted to do this thing, and I think the early signs are that it's probably not going to work out. But Everton is also a basket case, and they've proven that time and time again. Rafa Benitez is not a bad manager.
No, but also the signing of Dele Alli was one of the stupidest things that anybody's ever done in the Premier League. It was absolutely ludicrous.
And you can't blame Lampard for that.
Well, why not?
I mean, there's definitely conversations happening above his head, and
I just say no.
Yeah, just
no. You're spending actual money on this. Now, it looks like they'll never. The trigger to spend all the rest of the money is never going to happen, is it? But he'll have to pay his wages. Oh my God, that was one of the stupidest. And this isn't after timing, by the way. We said it at the time. So it's 7:45 this morning. We haven't even talked about Ten Hag. Gonna bag Hag is the headline. Manchester United are closing in on the appointment of Erik Ten Hag. Are we going to call him Hag, or is it not Ten Hag?
It's Ten Hag.
Yeah, but gonna bag Hag. It's like, that's the Sun. Their sub-editors working overtime. So he's the man. They've decided he's the guy that they want, and they're going to get him. This is interesting, I suppose, because he's come with a very specific style of play that he wants, and it's obviously quite flexible, but it's the Ajax style. It's the Johan Cruyff imprint, which obviously worked particularly well at Barcelona and has worked at Ajax to a certain extent. It has been very successful locally. Reached the Champions League semi-final, unfortunate not to go through. Right appointments, a better long-term appointment than Pochettino. What do you think?
I have no idea. That's the truth. It's very, very hard to tell. It's definitely it seems like a better move than, say, appointing Solskjaer would have been. It definitely feels, again, with the benefit of hindsight here, a little bit a better appointment than Jose Mourinho. Even at the time, you wouldn't be 100% sure of that one. I wonder, are Ajax going to take out a full page ad in the Amsterdam press, or it was Manchester Evening News, and say thank you, Erik Ten Hag, for everything that you did, and then that'll be just the start of the downfall, because that seemed to be a bad curse for Donny van de Beek when he joined.
Does he just bring Donny van de Beek back and turn him into a footballer again, and it's like you get 2 for the price of 1? Is that part of their thinking here?
I'd be very surprised if getting the best out of Donny van de Beek was was part of it. I think they're really well. Manchester United have shown problems in being able to be willing to cut their losses over the last little while, but I'm not sure. Like, I think Ten Hag says to me that Manchester United are willing to take a bit more of a long-term approach, but that doesn't seem to be in keeping with anything Manchester United have done over the last little while. Like, the signing of Cristiano Ronaldo flies entirely in the face of a club that have a long-term approach. It says to me though that if Ten Hag is coming in, you can say good luck to Ronaldo, you can say good luck to Pogba, you can say that trust in the youngsters who are hungry, which he was saying that again. Wayne Rooney. Wow, it has been a long week.
It has. That was only Monday night.
That was only 3 days.
Today's
ago.
only Thursday morning. It's not even Thursday evening yet.
So that Wayne Rooney idea of like rewarding players who are young and hungry, like Ten Hag would be the exact sort of manager that would do that. But it is still guesswork because we thought we knew what other managers were going to do with different clubs, and we thought that Manchester United were on the right track over the last little while. It looks like a decent move, but the question for me is, was he their number one choice, or was Pochettino the number one choice?
I'd say they got their number one choice. No, it feels that way. Like, Pochettino has made it known he would like to work again in the Premier League. I was thinking, are there other Premier League teams who are looking at Pochettino going, yeah, okay. I mean, I suspect Newcastle could be interested in upgrading this summer. Could Villa be interested in upgrading to getting Pochettino instead of TVG? I don't know. Are there other teams along there?
Poch to Newcastle looks like that's a good shout. I think that could be something that could happen down the line, and he'd have the experience of working with mega rich owners. But maybe he hates his life after working with mega rich owners and the array of talent. But maybe Newcastle will do things differently. Maybe there won't be
Maybe the football manager hated having access to the world's best players and loads of money.
Yeah, it does sound a bit stupid actually when you put it that way. A dressing room full of divas is probably what I was trying to say.
Yeah, okay.
It's only time like anybody who's going to make a defined prediction on how Manchester United are going to fare over the next year.
Oh, we present a sports breakfast show every morning. That's your job. Literally, you've got one job, is to
I've tried and I failed at Manchester United too many times for me to.
How did you fail?
Down. The divas in the dressing room have
How's your boy Timo Werner getting on?
Yeah, I'm still going to cling to that. Timo Werner will come good someday. He'll definitely score a goal.